You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 161 of Wisdom by Wessa on the Horse Radio Network.
This is Jennifer Hebert.
I'm Morgan Nicole.
And this is Sofia Agela. Welcome to Wisdom by Wessa on the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Well, we are just a couple of months away from opening the doors to the 2026 Wessa Trade Show in Texas. Sophia, what are the updates and what can you share since we last spoke?
So within the last weeks, we finally wrapped up the space assignment for the temporary floor, which of course is going to be the 11th floor at the DMC again. And we're super excited to share that we are sold out and every spot has been filled, and we even have a wait list. And that's, of course, great for retailers who can sign up now to get their free badges and attend a sold-out Wessa Trade Show.
Wow. I have 2 words for you guys. Saddle up. Today is going to be so fun with this podcast. I have one of my dear, dear friends, Lexi Hoagland, here with me today. She is a powerhouse in the Western industry specifically, of course, but in our industry, we have so many trailblazers, but I can confidently say Lexi Hoagland is at the very top of that list. So excited to welcome her today. She has got it going on. Lexi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I have been thrilled since seeing you on our list. And I want you to kind of just tell us, a little bit about yourself. I know you do so much.
Yeah, for sure. So yes, my name is Lexi Hoagland. I am currently over our partnerships and national accounts for Lane Boots. And so how I kind of like to sum that up is we wear a lot of party hats here at Lane. We're a small team, but I would really sum that up into like a business development position and always looking for new opportunities. But then on the side, I also run a little group of mine called Cowgirls and Cocktails, which offers an opportunity for women in Western and agriculture to get together and network.
Amazing. I cannot wait to dive into so much today about your role at Lane Boots, but I do want to touch on Cowgirls and Cocktails, your networking opportunity you've created for the women in the Western space. I have loved attending these events, and for any of our listeners, you can find Cowgirls and Cocktails on Instagram. There's even some fun events coming up at the NFR, a little tea party. Cannot wait for that. Mm-hmm. But Lexi, let's hop into Lane. So maybe first tell us about Lane Boots in itself and kind of how they started out.
Yes. So Lane Boots has been around for 17 or 18 years, which is considered relatively new within the boot world. Something that I feel like that sets us apart from others is we are pretty strictly a fashion boot company. We literally know our lane and we try and stay in it. And yeah, we are a female fashion boot company. We just tapped into kids' boots, but I kind of like to describe us in a way where we want to continue to talk to our core customers, which is our average Western consumer. But I also want that first-time boot buyer here at Lane. I want them to know that there are other brands out there on the market. Our mission is to really tap into both and let the Western customer know that there's a little bit more of a higher fashion cowboy boot out there for them, but also for the first-time boot buyer to know that there's another brand on the market as well.
I love that you guys talk about the emphasis of the first-time boot buyer. I'm a boot connoisseur myself with over 200 pairs, but I remember the first time buying my first and second pair of boots. It's kind of like a whirlwind, and everyone now, they want to tap into this Western industry. And I love that to my core. And I think that with Lane providing that safe space of like, hey, you want a fashion boot? Here it is. You guys have so many different styles. But let's dive into your role with them, with the sales and partnership. How have you really helped shape the brand's story and identity?
Man, that's a loaded question, but great question. I'll first start out. I started at National Roper Supply. So I was on the retailer side for quite a while prior to working with a brand like Lane and learned so much about the core customer. But when the opportunity arose with Lane Boots, it definitely seemed like more of a fit for me. And so the president actually met me at WISA, decided that he liked me, and decided that he just wanted to hire me. And he didn't know what that looked like, but he knew he wanted me on his team. And so I joined Lane really not knowing exactly what I was going to be doing. However, I had really great relationships with creators and influencers. And so that's kind of where I initially started out with the brand. When I was over the creators program, it was really unique because we had been going through a marketing transition internally, and I had been challenged to come up with a year's worth of plans for what our influencers were going to be doing from like a campaign perspective. And so I had mapped out, this is exactly what I want the creators to talk about for the year. And we had a campaign like Galentine's and Booties in Bloom and Tailgate and things like that, where a normal company would set an internal marketing plan. We did not have that, but I had an external marketing plan with our creators, which ended up actually shaping the marketing plan for that entire year. And so it was a little bit backwards, but I felt like it gave me a really great start to kind of understand who our brand was internally and what kind of messages we were wanting to convey, but also work with our customers who were our creators and see what worked best for them, how they saw the product through their content, and then how we could kind of be working together internally and externally to make those messages known. But since then, we have hired a social media manager, and she's now over all of our creators, and I have stepped away from that. But within this last year, we have done a lot. And so I decided that it was time for Lane Boots to open up their first storefront. And I went to our president, the same man who hired me, and said, hey, if we're ever to open a store, I want to be open or I want to be over it. And it was kind of one of those instances where I hadn't really thought much about it until it was coming out of my mouth. And 3 weeks later, we had the Galleria approach us and they DM'd us on Instagram and said, hey, we have an open spot. Would you guys be interested? We've seen you at market and think that you would be a good fit at the Galleria Dallas. And so my president was like, this was your idea. If they want to do it, you're over it. And so I opened up our first storefront about a year ago this week and hired an amazing team. And now they're running it on their own. And really, since about January, have sat in the same role that I am in today, which is over our national accounts. And so working with a lot of our major retailers and then our partnerships, which is with Megan Maroney and the Houston Rodeo and a couple other little minor ones that we have here and there. And so, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's really exciting as me as an individual I feel like I am our customer. And so to kind of figure out what that messaging looks like. And yeah, I've been able these last 2 years to kind of see it in a lot of different lights, and it's been really fun. And we're growing all the time. And it feels so exciting and so honoring to be with a brand like Lane.
Wow, Lexi, all of that was fantastic and so inspiring too. I can just say from the outside looking in, I've worn Lane for several years. I've actually even done a little partnership with you guys in the past. And, me as your friend watching you through the years do this, it has been truly magnificent to
Thank
see.
you.
Yes. And I think what I admire most about Lane is it is so authentic. It is so raw and real, but it is also so like heritage driven, right? It's so dialed in of what the mission is, but then showing truly how organic it is. And I think that's what really sets Lane apart. Like you said, the people who are there internally are customers. They are consumers. Now, I have to ask, I'm a huge Megan Maroney fan, and I know that Lane Boots has pulled off some incredible major collaborations with her. let's go into that and how that came about. And I'd love to hear kind of some of that process.
Yeah. So Megan Maroney actually chose us first. So I'll flex on that to start.
Bragging rights.
We did not know this at the time, but when she came out with her single, No Caller ID, the image that she used as that little photo opportunity, she was wearing Lane boots. And so we didn't send them. She picked them out. She bought them herself and she was wearing them. And so, of course, as younger company, I mean, we're freaking out. Like Megan Maroney is wearing our boots. And so I actually had a friend in Nashville who was a manager for another artist. And I reached out to him just kind of to learn about what that even would look like to work with a musician. And I hopped on a call with him and just picked his brain, one, on relationship building, but then two, how to even get in contact with somebody like her and her team, because she has been on the rise now for a couple of years. And so he gave me a lot of really great insight and actually knew her manager. And so thankfully, very thankful for him, but he connected us to her manager. But he gave me some really great advice that I use to this day. And he said, basically, be over generous with your gifting. And the artists are always the ones to be receiving the gifts from brands or companies or whoever it may be. But there's a whole team of people that sit behind them that are also advocating for them that may not see that same opportunity in return. And so we just started gifting them and trying to build that relationship and that brand. And we have seen the potential with Megan since that moment of like, this is our customer. This is who we would want to talk to. She's the perfect lane girl for us. But it was a lot of people don't know this. It was a 14-month track down process. Wow. And a lot of negotiations, a lot of talks, a lot of dreaming too, and trying to figure out what was inside Megan's brain and then having her team convey that to us and us trying to figure out how to get it done. And so there would be months where we would have really heavy conversations. And then there would be months where Megan got really busy and we kind of had to wait a little bit, but it was always a game of patience, but still relationship building. And I feel like that's something that we've really learned. And at the end of the day, especially with somebody like her, it is our mission to be the easiest partnership for her. We want to do what Megan wants to do, and we don't want to make it difficult. And we want to always show up for her, and we believe in her, and it feels equally as valuing that she also believes in us. And so it has been a labor of love in the best way, but we could not have asked for a better partner than Megan Maroney.
Yes, you can see that generosity, and like you said, that the feelings are mutual. You can even see from the outside looking in again just how authentic that relationship is. And I love that advice that he gave. I think that's so valuable in general with business and life. You know, the more you pour in, ultimately, yes, the more you're going to get out, but really it feels good to be a blessing. It feels good to be generous. And I admire that again about Lane. Now, of course, that partnership was just a match made in heaven, right? Almost fell into your lap and you guys ran with it. Now, let's talk about how, with other partnerships, how do you evaluate, which partnerships are the right cultural fit for Lane? Like, what are those key elements you're looking for?
Yeah. So one that I'm thinking of right now would be with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Specifically with Megan, she was kind of our first one that really helped take our partnerships off of the ground. And so that to us was more of our fashion customer that we were trying to talk to. Whereas like with the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, we feel like that is so much more of that core customer that we would love to still stay in front of and communicate with. And so it's a lot of talking in the beginning and just kind of trying to figure out what our dreams are as a company, what our mission is moving forward. But when partnerships are presented to us, it does have to make sense. One, even from a financial standpoint, and if we're able to do it. Two, from a production standpoint and making sure our factory is well equipped and well prepared to produce those quantities. But then we also want to make sure that it's in line with the consumer that we're trying to target. And so from a marketing perspective, we have come up with some avatars that we want to hit. And so when, say, my boss and I are looking at partnerships, we really try and think, is this still on brand for us, but are we able to push the needle in some way? Because we never want to stay stagnant. We want to reach new audiences all the time. We feel like that's the only way that we can grow. And so with both Megan and definitely the Houston Rodeo, we feel like we're able to reach more people than we would otherwise be talking to if we just stayed in our own silo.
Right. Right. Now, also kind of switching gears into the retail aspect of it and also the e-commerce. How do you balance the authenticity, like we were talking about? How do you balance that authenticity with being trend responsive still?
I feel like it's been very cool to see our brand evolve, especially within these last 2 years, because I truly feel like we have a boot for everybody, whether it's style or price point or color. We have like over 22 colors in one style. And we have price points that start at $150 retail and go up to $12.95. And I feel like that's something that is really exciting, especially communicating with our retailers, trying to figure out, who's your customer and how can our brand fit into your stores? And so we feel like from a retail perspective, we've made it pretty reasonable for even some of our boutiques to work with us where they don't have to buy into whole size runs, but rather we just ask for a 12-piece minimum open order and they can mix and match that however they would like to see how their customer responds. So they could get a couple of those $150 boots, or maybe there's a color that they've wanted to experiment with. If they know their customers' core sizes, they can just buy those sizes as long as they hit their 12. We feel like that's a great start for an open order, and then they're no longer committed to that. And so we've really just tried to make ourselves as a brand fit into a lot of different women's lifestyles, again, through price point, style, and color.
Right. I did not know that about the 12 boots for the opening order. And I think that, is the most accessible opening order I think I've ever heard of. The fact that you can get 12 pairs, you can mix and match them, whatever sizes you want. You guys are doing a great job of connecting, of connecting the morale of it, but then also making it just so accessible. Now, you talked about how you really do communicate with your retailers and you guys listen as you innovate. Where do those conversations kind of take place? I'm sure at WESA, but tell us how you communicate with your consumers.
Yeah, from a retail perspective, I can definitely do that. For online, I'm a little bit more hands off with our e-commerce site. But from a retailer perspective, we're trying to take more of an innovative approach, especially with us being so small. We have to think very creatively on how we're still staying in front of our retailers because I haven't had the capacity to be in front of them as much as I would like to, especially with our partnerships and being on the road. And so, of course, talking to them at markets and a lot of those initial conversations, I would say, do start there. But going into this next year, we've kind of even put together a marketing plan to help support them because we never want them to feel like they're alone or that they're just sitting on lane product and it can't be moved. Like we have to be strategic with them. And so some of our goals this next year is to help out with some of their marketing materials, whether it's providing them drop boxes of lifestyle imagery that we've already taken that they're able to print out of the styles that they carry and showcase in their store. Or, there's so many different slat wall accessories that we're going to be looking into that are lane branded to help highlight all of those blue boxes on their shelves or blue bottoms on their shelves. And then or lane branded rugs. But another really interesting thing that we're wanting to do this next year is partner with local creators and influencers in their area, paying for them to go into their store and highlight their retail location as a whole, but specifically lane product on their shelves. And I feel like that's a really great way for us to continue to partner with them and work with them when I'm not physically able to be in front of them and at their store. And so, I mean, there's so many things that go on online and via email when I'm talking to our retailers and just back and forwards and trying to figure things out. But one, I'm super excited about that marketing plan that we have. And then two, I am looking forward to it in a sense of just continuing to build the relationships that we already have with some of these accounts, and then hopefully even getting some new ones on board with us as well.
Yes. And no pun intended, but you guys are trying to put more boots on the ground to
Yes.
to achieve this. And like you said, with capacity and bandwidth, you know me very well, and with my influencing and everything else behind the scenes, I completely understand, bandwidth and capacity. And I love that Lane is making the full effort to expand with their voice, expand with boots on the ground, sending these influencers and these brand liaisons actually to the retailers and giving them that boost of digital assets as well as just maybe product awareness, but really with their brand as well. I actually did something like that about 3 years ago for a wholesaler, went into one of their retail stores, and I think the outcome was better than what we could have even dreamed up
That's
in the
awesome.
best world. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think it's because it is so personable when a retailer says, wow, Lane reached out to me and they actually sent 2 or 3 girls in here, over the course of 12 months. Like, wow, they care. And I
Yeah.
love that about Lane.
Thank you.
Yes. I want to wrap us up with, the women-led network and culture with Cowgirls and Cocktails. Do you want to share a little bit more about, the networking and the networking aspect of that?
Yeah, for sure. I have had just a huge passion for, learning and education and getting to know one another in our industry. And a lot of that comes from that I didn't grow up in this industry. And I feel like our industry is very core, but we need to continue to allow newcomers inside. And so my mission with Cowgirls and Cocktails is to build a longer table and not a taller fence for women in Western and agriculture. And so with that, I try monthly events. I have been pretty good about it. I have some big ones coming up end of this year, one with Double D Ranch in November, and then one in Las Vegas at the NFR as a tea party. But I had just noticed that we really didn't have anything like that in our industry. And so my first ever job was actually in construction, and they were so big on networking and business development. And there were so many opportunities for me to just go and learn. And whether it was going and learning about the state of the market and what was upcoming in the DFW area in 10 years, or women in construction organizations and meetups, or young professionals in construction. And so when I finally got into Western, I was ecstatic. I'm like, this is my dream come true. And I would see all of these women hanging out, and I looked up to them and I wanted to learn from them. And I've never been trying to change anything about our industry. I've just wanted a part of it. And I was like, why aren't they inviting me? And I got so sad, but they didn't know who I was. And so I mean, like even you, Morgan, like you were one of them that I like knew from afar and was a creator. I'm like, she seems really cool. And I'm like, would love to get to know her. But I mean, any normal person would just DM someone, and then there's me, and I'm like, I'm going to start a whole event. And so I really just thought it was going to be a monthly happy hour. And that was my goal starting out. And it has exceeded that. And now they're like full blown events. And I feel like it's always trying to do something new or creative, or maybe it's not even like Western specific, but just something that grabs the eyes of somebody new. And if Cowgirls can Cocktails can be their first experience in the Western world and to get to meet these amazing women, then I'm so thankful that it's through my group. And so it's been really cool. It's been really fun. It's hard, but very rewarding.
Yes, hard work pays off. And I want to emphasize too, as I know you would as well, every girl is welcome to this, whether you're, a retailer, a wholesaler, whether you're not even one of those, you're just a rodeo fan, a spectator, or if you're just a normal gal in the area wanting to network and connect. I just am so grateful, Lexi, that you have done this for us. I'm so proud of you, and it has been literally an honor to watch you grow and expand Cowgirls and Cocktails. And I really do think that was how our friendship bloomed in general. And so to be able to support each other, not only in business and work, but also in life, and so many things going on behind the scenes, has been so special. But on behalf of literally every woman in our industry, thank you for creating this space.
Well, thank you so much. That means so much to me. But I mean, yeah, I feel like yours and my friendship blossomed from a work perspective. I mean, I remember working with you when we were at National Roper Supply, and you helped us highlight, I think, a Wrangler promotion.
Yes.
We just kept in contact ever since. And you've been such a great friend of mine and supporter, and you cheer me on. And I feel like that is like, I mean, I feel the same way about you. And so I'm very thankful for you.
Thankful for you. Well, tell them how they can get connected with you, Cowgirls and Cocktails, and how they can shop Lane Boots.
Yes. So you can always get in contact with me through email or Instagram. My email is lexi.hoagland@lanebrands.com. And then my Instagram is just Lexi Hoagland. And then Cowgirls and Cocktails, we have a Facebook group and we have an Instagram page, and it is a black and white logo that you will need to look for. We have a chapter here within the DFW area, and then one also near the Panhandle within like Lubbock and the Clovis, New Mexico area. And then any of the more national girlies would love to have them and host them in Vegas on December 6th at our tea party event at Fountain Blue. It's from 11 to 2 o'clock, and it's going to be very girly, very fun. Your ticket will get you food and drink and some party bags, some really cool items from a lot of our favorite brands. And that will be super fun. And then for Lane Boots, we have a retailer locator on our website, and then you can find us at laneboots.com.
Another fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for taking the lead on that one, Morgan. Links from today's show are available on the episode show notes at wisdombywessa.com. And you can listen to the Wisdom by Wessa show anywhere you get podcasts. Apple Music, Spotify, all available. Just go to your podcast player on your phone, hit subscribe. Wisdom by Wessa. And we are published on the 15th and the 30th of every month. And when you subscribe, it'll pop into your phone automatically. And thank you very, very much for joining us today. Wisdom by Wessa. Wessa, where the industry meets.